What is up, guys? Welcome back to Just a Guy on My Lunch Break. So, welcome to the channel where a guy is not going to clickbait you. Now, the thumbnail would have said something enough to get you to click on the video so that we could talk together, so that we could dream together of the possibilities of a world of a scenario where Jake Paul might actually take on an opponent that would be considered a worthy adversary in terms of his height, his size, his experience in fight sports. Okay? We can dream together about these things because I see the clickbait all the time. The clickbait is what got me looking at this story again. I saw Jake Paul and Andrew Tate face off a couple of years ago, and of course everybody was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why are Jake Paul and Andrew Tate facing off?" And then it turned out to be nothing. Of course, then again, Andrew Tate had his legal troubles and got arrested and everything else in the third, so that could have been part of it. Nonetheless, the talk about Andrew Tate versus Jake Paul is back. Okay? Now, there's clickbait everywhere. Okay? I'm not going to clickbait you guys. There's nothing in writing, there is no contract. Okay? They're saying that it could potentially, possibly happen sometime next year. There is no exclusive date. Basically, what that means is Jake's team has talked about it. Andrew Tate knows about it, has talked about it, has kind of publicly called out Jake Paul. But outside of that, there's been nothing else in the works. So I'm not going to bullshit you. There is no fight between Jake Paul and Andrew Tate. But we can dream, right? We can dream. Come on, dream with me. I just freaking get into it. I like to dream about stuff like this. And it does allow us to look at a scenario where, you know, Andrew Tate could potentially kick Jake Paul's ass. Hell yeah. that's what we all want to see, right? I mean, anyone who is a purist fight sports fan, that's what you want. You know, there's this kid who's coming in, cherry picking all of his opponents, making sure that he has an upper hand on every one of his opponents, whether they're older or retired or they're just smaller, slower, whether they don't even specialize in the same sport as what he's training in and what he's inviting them into the ring to do. All of those things, Jake Paul always stacks the deck in his favor. He's a promotional genius. Got to give him credit for that. Okay? Got to give him credit for that. But what we're going to do is just look at a quick article where Andrew Tate was actually calling out Jake Paul after this recent Mike Tyson, Jake Paul Netflix debacle, where Netflix is actually being sued, which is freaking ridiculous. But on the heels of that, I will say that goes to show you how many people want to watch this kid fight. More importantly, how many people want to watch this kid get knocked the out. Okay? 108 million households all at one time tuning into Netflix, trying to watch this kid get knocked out to the point where they broke Netflix, y'all. They completely broke Netflix. Netflix is like, what the? Can't even get their platform to work. Okay? So let's read this, dream together a little bit. In quotes, Tate says he needs to be taught a lesson. Andrew Tate breaks silence on Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. 80,000 people gathered around a sold-out arena to watch. And boo, Jake Paul as he defeated Mike Tyson on Saturday morning. And it seems as if Andrew Tate has something to say about that. The highly anticipated boxing match between Paul, 27, and Tyson, 58, was viewed by a record-breaking 60 million. That's a lot of millions. That's a lot of millions. Where the hell did I hear 108? I heard 108 million. Somebody's lying. No. Come on, Corey. The internet doesn't lie, bro. Come on, bro. You can believe everything you hear on the internet, right? Fans were not happy with the result, calling out the 31-year age gap and widely criticizing the YouTuber for agreeing at all. Okay, well if you're gonna criticize Jake Paul, you got to criticize Mike Tyson because Mike Tyson knew he wasn't ready to get in the ring. He knew he wasn't going to be able to give people even a semblance of a performance that looked anything like what he was as the killer in his prime. So you got to blame him. You got to blame Netflix for allowing an almost 60-year-old man to get in there, knowing that it was trending to be the most watched, most bet upon sporting event in the last half century. Netflix should have known better too. Okay, let's be honest. Tate, however, argued that the younger fighter deserved some credit while issuing an open challenge for the near future. Andrew Tate spoke out about the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, which the former won by unanimous decision. Many figures associated with boxing condemned Paul for taking advantage of his young age, but Tate came to his defense. Jake's an okay guy. He's putting boxing on the map. To be fair to him, he said. The media personality added, to be fair to the guy, he can sell tickets. I mean, nobody, and this is with all due respect, could give a shit about watching a 60-year-old fight a 27-year-old. But Jake can make them care. And because he can make them care, he gets paid more than most boxers will ever make in their entire careers for one fight. But it doesn't seem as if Tate will let Paul off the hook that easily. 3 years ago, the former kickboxer accused him of not taking the sport as seriously as he should, while simultaneously flaunting his money and living in a dream world. Tate mentioned the famous call out again, saying he wasn't backing down yet. There was a time when Jake Paul and I were talking about fighting, he said. As a 4-time kickboxing world champion who has 6 fights under his belt, I think if this arrest didn't happen, it probably would have come to flourish. We will see what happens in the future. We will see what happens. It's possible. There's nothing no. There's nothing yes. We will see. I will skip this Matrix attack, and perhaps if he needs to be taught a lesson, I will be the guy to teach him. As the fight neared its end, fans noted Paul didn't knock out Tyson, with the former saying he didn't want to hurt him when it wasn't necessary. Jake Paul says, yes, definitely took my foot off of the gas, he said during the press conference following the match. Definitely a bit. I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt. The young boxer could also tell Tyson wasn't as focused due to his older age. There was a point where I was just like, he's not really engaging back, and I don't know if he's tired or whatever. He added, I just have so much respect for him and that violence war thing between us. After he slapped me, I wanted to be aggressive and take him down and knock him out and all that stuff, but that kind of just went away as the rounds progressed. So I just would like to add to that, that's what made that fight a farce. You should never take your foot off the gas in a fight, okay? Not unless you are conserving your own energy or afraid that you may gas out and then in turn you get knocked out, okay? So that did actually make that a farce. The sports attorney said that out of Jake's own mouth, he kind of admitted to throwing the fight somewhat or taking his foot off the gas. And actually, two pugilists who are in a fight together, especially when it involves people betting money on the event, both of them are supposed to take every opportunity they can to actually hurt the other, finish the other, KO the other, do whatever they can to stop the fight and to be the victor, okay? Jake Paul obviously didn't do that. He admitted to not doing that. So technically, he could get sued, according to a sports attorney on that. Will he? I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't think that's going to come to fruition. I don't think people think it's that serious, and I think part of that is because Mike Tyson's almost 60 years old. And on one hand, people are kind of pissed. Oh, we got freaking hoodwinked. I knew it. That freaking Jake Paul got us again, So people have that sort of frustration and anger. But then on the other hand, they're like, well, we all love Mike Tyson. Nobody wanted to see Mike Tyson's legacy end with him flat on his back, looking up at the ceiling, being knocked out by a 27-year-old YouTuber. So I don't think there will be any suing happen. But Andrew Tate, let's get back to it. At least now that hopefully Andrew Tate's legal troubles, hopefully, are over with, maybe we can get back to a possibility, a place where someone who is actually a difficult challenge for Jake Paul to overcome can get in the ring with him. I want to see that. Yeah. You guys want to see that. Okay? Whether you're riding the Jake Paul train or not, even if you're just watching for, how a train wreck, it's just this horrible, disgusting thing to watch, but you just can't turn away from it. You have to look. Even if you're just watching for that, just because you're just morbidly curious about what the outcome could possibly be, about the what ifs, even if it's just for that. This is what we need. This is what we want to see. This is the kind of challenge that we want to see Jake Paul accept. Now, we live in this day and age where everybody and his brother, I'm talking about whether they are a professional boxer, a professional fighter, or not, everybody's calling out Jake Paul, guys. Everybody. Daniel Dubois, the current IBF heavyweight champion, called him out. That just lets you know what kind of numbers we're looking at when it comes to Jake Paul, what kind of figures he's pulling in, okay? Top world champion current heavyweight champion boxers are calling out Jake Paul, okay? So when you look at it like that, it kind of makes more sense why everyone is trying to get in the ring. Now, don't get it twisted. Andrew Tate's reason for wanting to get in the ring with Jake Paul has way less to do with his alpha male status, his cojones, and wanting to teach the little punk a lesson, and way more to do with the fact that he'd probably make 20 mil by getting in the ring with him. I mean, that's a fight that will pull some numbers. Let's get honest. Andrew Tate, 4-time world kickboxing champion. I understand he's not a boxer, but he's a kickboxer. He has the ability to throw hands. He's been in the ring. He's tried and true, tested as a fighting champion. Okay? Another notable fact, he's 6'3". One of the biggest complaints is that Jake Paul always fights undersized men. Andrew Tate's actually larger than Jake Paul. And not larger like Anderson Silva, where he's larger, but he's kind of skinny and dainty and not a very strong individual. No, he's also jacked. He also knows how to throw hands, knows how to throw kicks. That'd be cool as shit if he kicked the shit out of Jake Paul. You imagine? Remember when Dylan Dennis tried to take down Logan Paul? Can you imagine if they're in there and Tate's getting pieced up and he starts getting pissed off and just throws a left high kick out of nowhere? And just mollywops Jake upside the head and it's over. I mean, it would be worth getting sued for it, I think. Dream with me. This could happen. Let's push for this, because this is actually a scenario where Jake Paul would truly be challenging himself. And if there's one thing I can tell you, although Andrew Tate's following are a bunch of beta males, Andrew Tate is not that. He is a self-proclaimed alpha male, And his ego is way too sensitive and way too intact to throw a fight. Okay, so all these people talking about Jake Paul's fights are all rigged and it's the WWE of boxing and blah 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 blah. You hear it all, and I get where people are going with it. I'm not, I'm not throwing off on the people that feel that way or think that way because I get it. I see where you're going with it. I mean, we all see where you're going with it, but Andrew Tate ain't gonna get knocked out in front of the world on a plan, on a script, bro. Hell no. That guy's way too arrogant, way too egotistical to fight a scripted fight to where he is predestined to lose to former YouTuber Jake Paul. Ain't gonna happen. Okay. And for me, that's one of the most important aspects about it. I mean, obviously, he's 37 years old. He's still somewhat in his prime. He's in his 30s. He's in his 30s. I mean, Mike Tyson was 58. Let's get real. So Andrew Tate's in his 30s. He's still relatively in his prime, even though he's, kind of out of practice as far as his kickboxing career. He's been retired for a while, but his body is still somewhat young, so you have to think if he were to get back into a training camp, he could probably get there to where he was, back in pretty good shape. Again, for a fight, he's tall enough. He's big enough. He has legitimate fight experience. And I'm not talking about no Ben Askren, who was a freaking wrestler and hardly ever threw a punch in the UFC, and then everybody was stupid enough to think that Ben Askren was going to go in there and rough up Jake Paul and beat him. What the HE double hockey sticks were any of us thinking about that? But he has all of these intangibles that people are complaining that Jake Paul stays away from. He has the somewhat youth. He has the size, he has the height, he has the background in kickboxing, the background in fight sports. He has all of these things, right? And the most important thing that Andrew Tate has that we're just not sure about some of these other fights that Jake Paul had, including the Mike Tyson one 2 weeks ago, he has an ego. He is arrogant. He is a person who would not lose a scripted fight. Andrew Tate's ego wouldn't be able to handle that shit. Andrew Tate would not be able to look at himself in the mirror if he knew that he signed a contract to a fight that he was predestined to lose in a scripted way. Ain't gonna happen. Okay? So that's why I say all of those things together that makes Andrew Tate a potential really dangerous opponent for Jake Paul. And for those of us who love fight sports and want to see Jake Paul get his mouth shut, I think Andrew Tate's the guy to do it. Comment down below if you agree. Subscribe to the channel if you like this take. Throw a like on the video. I work really hard. Hook your boy up. I'm trying to have 100,000 subs by 6 months from now. Let's go. All right. Just a guy on my lunch break is out. You can call me Corey, too. You can call me Corey. Just a guy on my lunch break is out. Love you guys. Have a great evening.